Alright guys, the wait is finally over and today we're going to be taking a look at the Curse of the Vampire Coast DLC. In this 1v1 match, I'll be playing the Vampire Coast led by Count Noctilus, and hopefully we'll be able to bring the Hard Knock life to our opponent. We're going to be facing off against Indie Pride of Milk and Cookies Total War, who's going to be playing the Dark Elves led by Lokir Felheart. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So first things first, all these units are pretty cool. We have deckhand mobs, we have the gunnery mobs, but come on, this is what we're really here for. So we do have Count Noctilus, and he is definitely a very powerful lord. If you put him on foot without his mount, he's very tanky, has anti-large, armor piercing, kind of like Vlad von Karstein, but with better armor piercing values and anti-large, and is definitely very solid. But again, he's going to be on his mount here, which is an Necrofex Colossus, which basically makes him kind of a moving destruction machine. So he's going to be marching around. He can actually shoot while he's moving with this thing. It has heavy armor piercing damage, 330 range, so somewhat in the ballpark of like Ushapti Great Bows. But if your opponent does have like heavy artillery pieces like great cannons or, dwarven great cannons, empire great cannons, or any true artillery pieces, they should be able to outrange you. But for the most part, he's pretty safe here. And yeah, he's just an absolute terror in the night. He does have access to the lore of vampires, but instead of getting, typical raised dead, he does have the drowned dead. So he can summon standard zombie pirates. And if you overcast it, he can actually summon gunnery mobs. So you can summon light powder units, which is so cool. I've had countless engagements in some of these early games where, there was a unit of like greenskin infantry fighting against my zombie deckhands, and behind them I summon some powder mobs, I shoot into their backs, and it is just so damn powerful. On top of that, he does have access to Invocation of Nehek, obviously pretty much a staple of competitive play. Lore of the Deeps is quite good, but I still think Lore of Vampires is probably a little bit more competitive because of Invocation and the ability to just summon tons of units. Granted, the Lore of the Deep and summon Prometheans as well. So we do have the Wraithstorm, which is a bound ability, just does a ton of damage, very, very solid thing. Anytime there's free abilities on a unit, it's just so damn good. Look at me just all regal, like posing up there. Oh man, that is hilarious. And on top of that, is he looking through like a spyglass or something? I don't know, we'll have to check that out later. We do also have Captain Roth's Moondial, which is going to be summoning zombie pirates. So he can summon zombies with the drowned dead. And on top of that, he can summon them with the Moondial. And you can see he's taking a pot shot right there. So he can actually, like I said, move while shoot. And he has a ton of abilities. Fear, Terror, Shoot while moving. He is undead, of course. Curse of Undeath, and he does have access to Lore of Shadows. So here we do have Smoke and Mirrors, so things get faster, which is helpful because they're a very slow faction. That's one of the things you guys will notice right away. Aside from the Depth Guard, which are vampiric units, like their faction is very, very slow. But anyways, against the Dark Elves in the front line, we have a couple of groups of the Depth Guard as well. Depth Guard are so good against light infantry. So they'll pretty much just absolutely smash anything that is lightly armored and kind of lower tier troops in general. And even against Sisters of Slaughter. They have 100 armor, they have really good combat stats, 62 melee attack, 39 melee defense. However, they do have a low model count. So if they take heavy burst damage from like a mammoth, artillery pieces, some sort of a magic that is very good against, small unit counts, they can definitely get taken out very, very quickly. But against Bleak Swords, Dread Spears, Sisters of Slaughter, Witch Elves, they're going to be an absolutely hard counter. However, it did a little bit of testing against like Harganeth Executioners and troops like that, and they get put in a trash can really, really badly now. So they definitely got tweaked a little bit since the Everchosen and before that, so they're doing quite a bit better now. So we do have a couple Depth Guard here in the front line. In total, I think we have 3. They're going to be saturated with a couple of groups of the Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs, so these guys are just chaff, just fillers. They do okay. They got 17, 15, 29 weapon strength is pretty high for how cheap they are, and they don't break. They do the trick. Definitely like these guys quite a bit. On top of that, we do have the Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs, and this also gives us a showcase or a chance to show you guys the new ability here. So, kind of their unique faction trait is going to be the extra powder. So when their ammunition is above 80%, they're going to be getting 30% armor-piercing missile damage, 30% missile damage overall, armor-piercing explosion, more explosion, because you can never have too much, as the tooltip does stipulate. So if you want to use like gunnery mobs, typically, I don't think it's worth like microing and kind of giving more ammo to these units with a gunnery white, but if you do have like Queen Bess or something, that extra powder is so powerful. So sometimes it can be worth it with some of the bigger, more powerful artillery pieces. Over here, we do have the Deck Gunners. So Deck Gunners are basically like the Ushapti Great Bows of the Zombie Pirates or the Zompirates or Vampires, whatever you guys want to call them. But these guys are very solid. They have 245 range, very similar to Ushapti Great Bows, good armor piercing, and they do have Shield Breaker. So they're very good against Chaos Knights, Cold One Knights, and even against like just like elite units, for example. So, well, not elite units, but if you're looking at like Dark Shards or enemy heroes or lords, it can be pretty decent at sniping things out. So I really like the Deck Gunners, gives you great battlefield control, and they also look really cool. I like how they have like, I guess it's kind of like the Skaven. They do have like a ammunition guy in the back, and the other guy has like the big cannon. He looks pretty excited. He's ready to go. This guy, he has the right attitude. He's a winner, deserves a promotion. But anyways, in the back, we do have the Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs with pole arms, and that's pretty much it for our army. Very powder-centric. We have a couple deck droppers, one with the pistols, and then we do have 2 of the bombers in the front who are going to be going to drop some bombs, and you can see they're already doing some really good damage against these Bleak Swords here. So for the forces of Indie Pride of Milk and Cookies Total War, he does have a couple groups of Harpies, which is a great pick. Obviously, he's a veteran of the ever-chosen Invitational. Harpies are a great counter against deck droppers. They can smash them in melee, and they can kind of just chase them and be an absolute nuisance. On top of that, he's got a front line of the Bleak Swords and Dread Spears. He does have a couple of groups of the Sisters of Slaughter for a little bit more punch there in the front line. He does also have Dark Shards with shields, which is a very good choice. They have a solid shield, so facing off against my zombie firepower, these guys are going to be able to absorb that firepower and keep going, which is going to be very solid. And he has Lokier Fellheart. Now, we did a little bit of testing with Lokier Fellheart on foot. He's actually really scary. The dragon is good and everything, but on foot, I feel like is where he might actually really shine. So if you look at him, he does have great combat stats. He has the Dreaded Duelist, but this is what makes him really good, the Helm of the Kraken. So it gives him 9 melee defense just to himself, and also replenishes his hit points. So he's going to be very durable, and you guys will get to see this game. He really does a lot of work for sure. And as far as the army goes, I think that's pretty much it. Dread Spears. He does have 2 groups of the Doomfire Warlocks. These Slaanesha's Harvesters, who actually did get changed. So we'll go ahead and show you guys real quick. So if you look at the abilities now, they can only be cast when they're above 50%. So if you're able to burst down these guys really quickly, they might get off like one spell, but over the course of the late game, they're not going to be able to get off that second Mark of Pain or Word of Pain. And I think it was definitely a good nerf. These guys were a little bit strong, so I think it's nice to have them toned down just a little bit. But anyways, guys, my apologies for the very long introduction. As we do go through more early access games and take a look at some of these other battles here, the introductions won't be quite so long, but since it's the first time showing you guys these units, aside from Everchosen and stuff, I figured it would be a good time to go through it. So anyways, he's going to be chasing me with the Harpies here, but you can see massive powder fire is going to be coming in here, and I will be having all my zombie powder guns. The initial volley does go into some of the Bleak Swords here in the front, which isn't the best, but we're going to be switching to the Witch Elves, which are a very, very good target. We're also providing some Overwatch fire against the Harpies, trying to take them down, but you can just see the Witch Elves just getting blasted by the powder here. Not taking the most damage, but that was just the first volley, and now you can see the Depth Guard are going to be charging in. The Zom Pirates are ready to go, but they did take a lot of damage from that Dark Shard volley in the beginning, so very well played to Indie Pride there. Focus firing down these targets, because without the Depth Guard, I'm going to be getting monster mash in the front line. It will be an absolute massacre. The Zom Pirates are going to be fighting the Witch Elves, which isn't the best situation. I should have probably done a bit of a crossover and had the Depth Guard fight the Witch Elves, but for the most part, I think I did get some good engagements against these Sisters of Slaughter. But yeah, the Witch Elves are actually taking some damage from that focus fire there. Deck Gunners in the back are going to be shooting at some of the Dark Shards, just wearing those guys down. But the Dark Shards are in pretty good shape. But now the Hard Knock Life is coming in. We're going to hopefully be able to teach him a lesson. Count Noctis is going to be leading the charge, and he should shoot here in just a moment, as he does fire while he's shooting. So here comes Erased Dead. He gets a direct shot right into the face of that Sorceress. We also did summon some zombies over here to just muck up these forces. So in the back line, it looks like there's going to be a little bit of harassment coming in from these Harpies, but for the most part, the Dark Shards are just getting pounded by the firepower of the Vampire Coast. Duck Gunners and the Gunnery Mobs just unleashing hell, but we are having a little bit of a problem here in the front. The Zom Pirates are getting cut up by the Witch Elves, but we do have the Depth Guard, because we didn't really need them on the far side, so we decided to rotate them over, have them engage here in the front line, so they will be attacking these Witch Elves and hopefully getting some pretty good value. The Soul Light is going down from Indie Pride. We're also trying to get some bombs, so he does get back here with some of the Bleak Swords. He sneaks around the flank, but Count Noxlos is coming for that booty. You can see, oh my god, he is so cool looking. And I definitely think, as far as like the competitive metagame goes, he's probably going to be the best choice on his Colossus. He is just so damn strong. We're doing a little bit of a rotation, trying to get the Halberds to intercept these Slaanesha's Harvesters. However, he does get a very good charge on my Zom Pirate Gunnery Mobs here. They're taking a little bit of work, but we're getting crossfire everywhere, and we're just doing everything we can to make sure that the Deck Gunners are protected by one of the groups of the Deckhand Mobs with pole arms. But the Sisters of Slaughter are going to be pouring into the back, going to be a little bit scary. Noctil's here, of course, quite powerful. He does have really high armor values, if I'm not mistaken, although only 75, so it's not as much as like a true tanky lord. But aside from that, on the other side of the battlefield, the Depth Guard are just giving the straight up business to the Dread Spears. You can see here they lost 6 models, but that was largely due to the Dark Shards. And in the back, we do have some more Zom Pirates that are going to be chasing down the Dark Shards with shields. That's a good situation. We've kind of mitigated his missile pressure, and the Dark Shards were pretty much his only true counter against Count Noctilus, so hopefully we'll be able to stabilize. Now it's time to take a look at Lokier Fellheart. He's got his 2 blades in here, and he has just been going to town. And we've been trying to focus fire him a little bit. He doesn't have access to shields or anything like that, but he heals very, very quickly. Of course, he's like Boris Todbringer or King Lewin from Rachonia. He's going to be very stalwart and a very tough elite target to bring down here. So Lokier is going to be working on the zombies here. Definitely has some okay splash damage, and he's actually attacking the zombie pirate gunnery mobs. So that's kind of scary stuff. Anyways, the Harpies were able to finish off my deck droppers for the most part. Doombolt is going to be going down on Noctilus as he marches about and just takes some pot shots or whatever he can see. But the Harpies are now going to be getting into the cookie jar. So the Harpies definitely going to be able to take out zombie pirate gunnery mobs, who only have 7 melee defense, so very, very low. Definitely not the toughest of troops. And yeah, he was able to get my deck droppers as well. So a little bit of a tough situation. But deck gunners are actually slipping out of there, and the zombie pirates do have some supporting elements with the zombie pirate deckhand mobs, so hopefully we'll be able to kind of stabilize here in the back line. But Lokir Felhar is just taking no damage and just doing absolute work here. So it looks like there's going to be some Foul Witchcraft going down, a Burning Skull going right down the formation, just doing beautiful work. So Indie Pride with the great cast right there. That's going to be roasting so many of my guns and my halberds and all of my troops that, I mean, it's a fair amount of value. You probably killed at least 600 gold worth of troops right there. On top of that, you can see on the far side, the Depth Guard are in really good shape. So he didn't bring too much true AP aside from those Dark Shards who we've been able to counter for the most part. So the Depth Guard are in really healthy shape, right? So 44 models here. On the other side, we do have 31 models, and they do have the hunger. And you can see here the deck droppers are able to just position themselves and absolutely massacre that sorceress. So that was a really good catch, because you saw how devastating that Burning Skull was right there. So the fact that we can probably get rid of this guy right here is going to be really nice for us. And come on, get her. It's so low, 59 HP. We need to get that off the battlefield. That is going to be so important. And also something else to point out, if you guys take a look at the bounce of power here, or not the bounce of power, but the timer, you can see it actually counts upward now. So in replays, you can't see when the battle's going to end, which I think is kind of a neat addition there. Anyways, the Depth Guard here do have 31 models. They've definitely been paying their dues against these Sisters of Slaughter. Sisters have very good combat stats, and a lot of, I believe they have the Fury of Cain, or they have Poison, that's right. And they're doing well for themselves, but again, the Depth Guard with their armor and the hunger, they're going to be healing when they're in combat. They are just paying huge dues this game. And largely due, because most Dark Elf players like these Dread Spears, Bleak Sword Sisters, they don't really bring a lot of Hargoneth Executioners in the current metagame. That might actually switch up against the Vampire Coast. We'll have to go ahead and take a look. But anyways, Count Noctilus is going to be blasting some of these guys in the face, having a good old time, and he does also cause terror. So you can see here he's able to terrorize those Sisters of Slaughter. They're going to be running for the hills, and the Death Guard are holding firm. Over here we do have the Deck Gunners who are going to be finishing off the Dark Shards. We also have the Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs who are getting some really good shots back here at the Dark Elves. They're going to be sent running back to the hills, as well as the Harpies. But over here we do have Lokir Felhart, who's going to be really tough to take out. Noctilus, even though, yeah, a lot of collateral damage. You can see he's blasting a lot of his zombies there. Yeah, I always felt like I was doing more, good for my opponent, just kind of knocking all the zombies around and whatnot. But anyways, he's not the best melee combatant, even though he's big and powerful. I mean, he is okay in melee, but he doesn't have the best combat stats. He does have a 30 melee defense, so he's definitely going to be a little bit vulnerable against Lokir, but Lokir is more meant for his infantry. But at the end of the day, he still has a ton of melee attack and melee defense, so it's going to be a little bit spooky. The rest of my troops are going to be piling in Depth Guard. We got zombie pirate deckhand mobs with pole arms. Over here, the Harpies have been attacking my Deck Gunners. They're able to finish them off, but here you can see just a massive torrent of fire coming out of this gunnery mob as the handguns just unleash hell on those Harpies. Unfortunately for me, and you can see they're definitely not as disciplined as like an Empire firing line, but you know what? They get the job done, and they do have that volume of fire, and they also don't break, which is very cool. So I guess there's kind of pros and cons to that. So for example, if you do have like a crew on an artillery piece, like a Carronade or Queen Bess, the crew isn't as mobile as an Empire crew. They're very, very slow. They're the speed of zombies, so it's a little bit harder to run away with your crew than it is with some of your more elite troops, or some, not more elite troops, but like Empire or Dwarves, for example. But we are able to take out those Harpies right there, so they're going to be running to the hills. Definitely a nice catch, but the battle is still very close. Bounce of power is a little bit in my favor, but Lokir is very healthy. There's some Doomfire Warlocks coming up from the hill here. Probably going to be charging down on my Depth Guard, who just finished cleaning up some Bleak Swords, and we definitely have quite a cockfight on our hands. Some Dread Spears coming back here. They're going to be taking some heavy fire from the Zombie Gunnery mob, who still has a ton of ammunition. I feel like I was like running with them the entire game, so that's probably why they're able to kind of keep that reserves at this point. Over here, the Depth Guard are going to be getting run down by the Doomfire Warlocks, and it's definitely not going to be the best situation. Depth Guard are at their healing cap. They've been fighting tooth and nail this entire game. 226 kills, but that's largely due to the fact that Indie Pride really only brought like chaff infantry. He didn't bring anything too heavy here, and the Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs are actually able to clean up those guys very efficiently and make sure that my Depth Guard can survive. In the meantime, Lokir Felhart is just kind of an absolute boss. He has the Dreaded Duelist. He's been cleaning up these Depth Guard, who were pretty much almost full health when they started fighting him. On top of that, over here, Count Noctilus is going to be shooting at some of the Dark Shards who are rallying in the distance, and we really need to keep those guys offline, because if they're able to sit and shoot, even though there's only 30 models on Count Noctilus here, that's going to be really bad and can break him down very, very quickly. So we're going to be marching over there, trying to take those guys out. Harpies, in the meantime, are going to be attacking my Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs. We do have them in guard mode, so they're still going to be trying to shoot. And actually, one of the Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs, the Regiment of Renown, does have access to anti-large. So that would be kind of useful here. Although our Harpies large, no, they're infantry sized, so it wouldn't matter anyways. But the Death Guard do charge in there to attack the Harpies. But Indie Pride does pull back pretty quick with the Harpies, and they do also break off. That's a very nice situation, and it looks like all the Slaanesha's Harvester is coming in. The final charge. Now, this is something that's going to be highlighted with their nerf, right? So right now at this point, if this were pre-patch, these guys could be using their spells, but since they are below 50%, they can't use their second, cast of the spell. So for example, they can't use their Word of Pain or anything like that. These guys definitely going to be getting Last Samurai by the zombies a little bit. So the powder's coming in. They're not terribly accurate, but you can see these guys are getting dropped so hard by the zombies. They're going to get in there, but they're very close to breaking. You can see they have 15 models, but they could still do a lot of HP damage. Still 87 models. And as far as the weapon strength in melee, yeah, it's only 12 right now without poison, so not going to be the best situation. Count Noctilus over here is just fighting tooth and nail. I decided to have him shoot over here to try and break off the Slaanesha's Harvesters. I needed to get those guns back online because that's still a lot of firepower. Has 69 models, that's what she said. Also some really, good ammunition reserves, so things are looking pretty good there. But Lokir Felhart is just a monster. He has so many kills right now. He has 119 kills. He's just sitting in here tanking these guys, and actually is starting to crumble my zombie pirate deckhand mobs. He does also have an ability called the Merciless Slaver, which gives -4 leadership to all nearby troops. That's very powerful as well. And Count Noctilus, in the meantime, is on the hunt. He's 100% out of ammunition. That doesn't mean he can't shoot his cannon in melee. And you can see, let's actually go ahead and take a look if he's like looking through a spyglass or something. Now it looks like he's just like, he's just making some grand gesture, like, come at me, bro. Yeah, he's just kind of waving here at the Dark Shards as he chases them off. So we're able to get rid of those guys, which is quite nice. Now it's basically just Lokir Felhart. The Harpies have come back in. These zombie pirate gunnery mobs are probably going to be the MVPs of the game, even though they only have 52 kills. They have been breaking so many units, and they're actually able to take out the Harpies there. Yeah, the Harpies actually get shattered off, which is absolute insanity. But Lokir Felhart is causing some serious problems. All my troops here are wavering. That leadership buff is definitely helping get them below 0 pretty quickly. And Count Noctilus is going to have to go fisticuffs here with Lokir, which, I mean, I think at this point Count Noctilus probably could win because his HP pool is so much higher. He's not going to break, but it's still a little bit scary. Dark Shards are coming back, and if we look at the Dark Elves, we do have some Harpies rallying in the distance. And surprisingly, the bounce power is still pretty darn even. I was actually surprised. I was like, why am I not way more ahead? Count Noctilus is very expensive and powerful, right? But Lokir Felhart, just an absolute tank right here. So we're going to be charging in with the Depth Guard and the other Vampiric units, trying to take out this Dark Elf Corsair here. But man, he is just an absolute beast with those swords. He's healing up. He has pretty high melee defense. His combat stats are just solid. But I figured, okay, Noctilus is going to need a little bit of help, so we do summon some zombies here. The zombie pirate deckhand mobs are going to be pouring from the depths, but, I mean, the dirt, whatever. I mean, they found a way. They figured it out. But they're here now. They're going to be attacking Lokir Felhart. We do have the powder guns who are going to be last samurai those Harpies, and those Harpies charge in and get taken out in the last second by the zombie pirate gunnery mobs. So I was kind of like, okay, in the miracle case, if Lokir Felhart was able to survive, he was able to like beat up Noctilus and kill all my troops here, which are very low. They're all actually crumbling, and the Dark Shards are back online as well. But the zombies are able to turn face and just get these beautiful shots. And even though they're not the most accurate, they still have 64 models. We're able to put down those Dark Shards. But I was like, okay, even if this battle is an absolute disaster here and Noctilus kills all my own troops, I can maybe fall back with the zombie pirate gunnery mobs and maybe take out Lokir with the powder fire. And he's getting very close to his healing cap as well. He does, of course, have the Helm of the Kraken, which allows him to heal. And yeah, you can see he's not taking too much damage. And Noctilus isn't the most accurate of combat lords in melee. Of course, he's more meant for his range tools, but still pretty powerful. 412 weapon strength, 46 melee attack. Also isn't terrible. And yeah, here comes the fight. So he's going to be trying to blast. Obviously, he's aiming a little bit deep there, just a little wild, blowing up his zombies, which is hilarious. But the zombie pirate deckhand mobs here are going to be chasing down the Dark Shards. And honestly, like, one group of Dark Shards like this can make all the difference, right? If they were able to just sit and shoot happily into Noctilus, they could probably get him down to like half health, which would be a little bit scary. And here they go. They're going to be setting up, taking some shots here at the Dark Shards. God, they look so funny when they shoot, like, the recoil of the guns, because, here in America, we do a lot of gun shooting, right? So you basically, the way they're holding it, it's just like kind of it's ridiculous, right? So there's just massive recoil in those guns, which is very, very funny. But yeah, the Dark Shards with shields there are getting popped off, and you can see they're going to be running. They're shattered. Now it's just Lokir versus the world, and man, he is doing a great job. He does have the dreaded duelist, 26, 27 on the melee defense and melee attack respectively. So he's up to 91 and 91. And on top of that, he also is regenerating. So just an absolute monster. So here, Count Noctilus definitely has his work cut out for him. But, just through sheer attrition, we have so many zombie pirate deckhand mobs. We should be able to wear him down. And he's probably going to break to leadership. I think he's probably immune to psychology. A little bit of a stutter stepping there from Noctilus as he's trying to figure it out. Let's actually go up on the crow's nest and check him out. Look at him. Yeah, he's just kind of having a good time. On foot, Noctilus is really good as well. He's incredibly powerful, but you can see we're going to be dropping that fat peg leg right there on Lokir Felhart. He's going to be taking powder fire in the back from the zombie pirate gunnery mobs. And we actually have a couple depth guard left as well, but Lokir is probably going to be going. He's shaken, and God, he is so tanky. Like, on his dragon, he's very powerful, but I feel like on foot, he was just like, I mean, granted, the dragon would have been a little bit better against Count Noctilus, for example. And here's what I'm saying. Count Noctilus is powerful in melee, but guys, we lost everything. All we have is Count Noctilus and the zombie pirate gunnery mobs, which is really nice. Like, that powder fire, even though it's mostly missing, is still, a couple of those shots are getting in there, doing some pretty good damage. And here comes Count Noctilus with his peg leg. Hopefully he drops the fat peg right here on Lokir as he does get knocked over. And he's, the Necrophix Colossus does get that last shot in there, so he's having a good time. and just getting punted about. And that's pretty much going to be all she wrote at this point. Lokir did a great job, but of course Noctilus is, pretty healthy, almost full HP. So very well played Indie Pride at Milk and Cookies Total War. That was a really fun game. And, nobody had really seen Lokir fail hard on foot. We'd done a little bit of testing on him as like a foot duelist, and he was pretty good. But man, he really, exceeded our expectations there. He was able to single-handedly like break a couple of groups of Depth Guard and the Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs, and the Merciless Slaver was able to kind of crumble my troops a little bit quicker, which was cool. But as far as the overall build goes, I think it was good. Depth Guard at their core are a bit of a hard counter against the Sisters of Slaughter and the Witch Elves and some of these Bleak Swords and things like that. So that was really, really nice. I think that some Dark Elf players are either going to have to use their Dark Shards or bring more Dark Shards to focus down Depth Guard, or they're going to have to like bring in 1 or 2 armor-piercing troops, like maybe a couple, Harganeth Executioners and Reserves to pull them in a little bit later to clean things up. It's definitely going to be, because Bleak Swords and Dreadspears and Sisters can't really deal with those guys too effectively. Although there are some magical tools you could use. There's some buffs from Lore of Shadows to lower their combat stats, and there's so many different ways to go about it. But they'll have to kind of at least respect these guys. These Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs were awesome. They have really good range at 140, good model counts, they don't break. They really paid their dues this game, and even though a lot of them did just get run down, I mean, he had a lot of pressure, right? He had Doomfire Warlocks and Harpies and stuff like that. I still think they did very well. The deck droppers with bombers, Indie Pride countered them very efficiently with the Harpy, so I wasn't able to do too much. I got some okay HP damage in the beginning, but for the most part, these guys were being just like rode down and just absolutely punished. So it was a little bit tough to make those guys work. But again, well played Indie Pride on that note. The Deck Hunters did a really solid job taking out the Firecaster. They were also able to provide some really good kind of Overwatch fire, taking out those Dark Shards. They were a solid pick. I think it gives you really good battlefield control, and had your opponent gone with like a little bit more of a defensive build that wasn't going to be advancing on you, it'd be really good against like Heavy Cav, Cold Moon Knights, things like that. So yeah, I think they're a really solid pick. And Count Noctilus, an absolute monster. You guys got to see him. He's a tank in melee. He's a powerful range tool. He can shoot while he's moving. He can summon. He has Invocation of the Heck. He is just a presence on the battlefield. And I think that he is by far the best lord available to the Vampire Coast. Granted, Luther Harkin is very good in some matchups, probably better in like the Chaos matchup and the Vampire Counts matchup. But for the other matchups, for the most part, in which you don't have to worry about heavy artillery, I think Noctilus is very good. And for Indie Pride's army, it was good. It was a little bit old school, right? Bleak Sword, Dreadspear, Sisters of Slaughter, that was kind of always the go-to for the Dark Elves. So I think maybe mixing in like one group of Harganeth Executioners or a little bit more AP, even if you want to bring more Dark Shards, like bring like 3 or 4 Dark Shards with shields, those guys are going to be really tough to take down for sure. So I think that could have been pretty good against my Depth Guard. Because even when he got like 1 volley on my Depth Guard, just 1 volley with the Dark Shards, he was able to bring the Depth Guard down to like 60% HP, because they have a really low model count, and as such they're going to get taken out very quickly by like focus fire from AP missiles. So anyways, very well played to Indie Pride. If you guys haven't seen his channel, I'm sure you have. It's Milk and Cookies Total War. There will be a link in the comment section below. And big thanks to you guys for watching. We're going to be having our campaign coming up with Luther Harkin as well. So all kinds of good stuff going on. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Vampirates, Vampire Coast action. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love the faction. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Take care.